Welcome, I'm Spaghetti King,
I am Chrono7654.
and this will not be Corpse Killer. This will be everything besides that. Apparently, Corpse Killer's the new one. I haven't seen that. I don't really keep up with AVGN.
Nah, me neither. I fell behind.
Yeah, I just don't have. It just doesn't. He doesn't call me, but I don't know. Maybe Corpse Killer will. He did a James and Mike Monday on Corpse Killer like forever ago. Um, it
Huh.
looked like a Mortal Kombat like side scroller kind of thing. Like it looked like the Sub Zero side scroller kind of game.
Oh.
But it was like on the
Yeah.
beach, and it was kind of weird. But it looked bad, so hopefully he'll have something to say about it. He said he had something to say about it back then, like 10 years ago, so hopefully he has something to say about it today.
Fuck, hopefully. I never watched his Majora's Mask video, but that caught my eye. I was curious.
I watched it because those I kind of have to watch, like the Earthbound one and like the Majora's Mask one.
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't really surprised, but he kind of just talked about how it's like a weird setting, and he emphasized the whole like time thing going on. He had like a kind of thing about that where time was like passing in his review. Um,
mm,
I think there was something where like Majora's Mask came to life or something like that. It was all right. It's just kind of like James Rolfe. He does horror, but
kind of.
he kind of does horror in a similar way a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's pretty. you've
Yeah, like
he's done it so many times.
I think it's a case where like Mario 3 is like the height of trying to do that kind of thing. Like I don't think he can really do that ever again, and it will be the same. Because like Majora's Mask is a similar kind of thing where it's a good game, but it's gonna have some like weird horror kind of gimmick to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
The last one I watched seriously was RoboCop, which was right after the Polybius video.
Yeah, I thought that was alright.
I thought
Uh,
RoboCop was nothing special, but the Polybius video was cool.
yeah, just because that was just mixing it up. It's it was good because it like captured like the internet culture around it. Um,
I feel like he should do more stuff where he breaks the mold like that and kind of just does random things video game related, but with some angry jokes thrown in. You know what I mean? Because now it's just the AVGN like run of the mill like you know what I mean prototype video. Like another
yeah,
AVGN video, you know how it's gonna go.
yeah, and like it's not even that he has bad concepts. I feel like he has good concepts, but I feel like he doesn't do them as good as he could. Like the Pepsi Man one, I thought was kind of disappointing. I know everyone like loved that. I thought that could have been done a lot better because the only thing he did is he like brought in Pepsi Man, and Pepsi Man was like this like evil guy who wants to like kill everyone and turn everyone into Pepsi or whatever. I thought it would have just been funny if it was more like Spider-Man, where Pepsi Man just like watched him play the game and was just like an asshole and just made quips. But Pepsi Man doesn't talk in that video, you know? Because that's what Spider-Man does. Spider-Man just shows up and he's like, "Why did they make these shitty games of me? They're horrible!" Ah, but it's
I
pissing
know,
my Spider Can.
like I love when he got Lloyd Kaufman on.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the good thing about bringing in someone else is you get their quibs too. Like he brought in Pepsi Man, and Pepsi Man doesn't even talk. He's just like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna like turn the world into Pepsi or whatever." And it's like, it's basically the same as like the Rob thing, except Rob was better because that was more like intense. Pepsi
yeah, and it's
Man, yeah, he brought in like the guy from the game, like the Pepsi Man game who like drinks the Pepsi or whatever. So like,
that's
yeah,
hilarious.
like it's a good setup. I just felt like the direction was wrong, basically. Like
Like the execution.
yeah, like because that's what I've said. Honestly, my favorite thing about AVGN isn't when he like brings in the other characters and makes some kind of like weird superhero story or whatever. My favorite thing is just his rants and whatnot. Pepsi game is like a perfect game to rant on. He's gonna rant about how like crazy it is. You can rant about how hard it is. You can rant whatever about like the Pepsi guy himself, and he brought in a Pepsi Man and the guy from the game, and it screams gold. Like there's so much. it should be great, but I just feel like he doesn't get it, you know? Like, you think of, like, the
Mm,
Star Wars video. He didn't bring in any other character on that, you know?
that's true.
He just reviewed the games, covered them, and, you know, I love that one so much. It's basically just, you know, simple reviews, but,
That's one of my favorite AVGN videos.
yeah.
That's another one like we were talking on the other video about his Odyssey video and how weirdly chill it is. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah, because, um, there's really not, like, other characters in it. There's, like, the whole, like, beer droid thing, which is, like, you know, it's like a funny George Lucas kind of quip. But he
Hmm.
basically just reviews the games like a very normal way, and then when something crazy happens, when like the Scorpion turns into Darth Vader or whatever, he can just give you his like honest reaction. And again, it's a lot of like the simple things. Like I remember, it's a really funny thing where he says, "I remember in the beginning, Mark Hamill has blonde hair, but when you play the game, it's suddenly black." Eh. Like the way he says it, I just found it like really funny, even though it's really simple. And it's like
Yeah,
there's like the whole crashing into like Maz Eisley and whatnot. Like all these little things, all these little quips of how he talks and how he talks about the game. That's really
little
what I love
editing
about
things.
AVGN. You know.
I agree. I never really cared for like the big concepts and all the like the goofiness is nice, but I prefer the goofiness when it affects, like you said, like the little things, you know? Because
Yeah, like
that's
yeah,
to me that's what makes rewatchability for me
yeah, like
is little
like
things.
when I think of like a video that's like built on just like small quips and jokes and lines like that, I think of like Daydreaming Davy, whatnot.
Mm.
You know, like
I mean,
that. Yeah, like
some of my favorite YouTube content in general is more about like the little things and less about the big picture and what's going on. You know, like
yeah,
there's these two videos. I'll have to send them to you, but they're vlogs of Japan, and they have some of the best editing I've seen in just any video ever. It's by these guys called Super Mega. Great channel, but yeah, I don't know what it is. The editing just makes such a good atmosphere, such a the visuals are perfect, the music is perfect, um, all of the editing to make all the jokes work better. Like it's just those two videos. There are four vlogs, but the first two were the ones that are like masterpieces.
mm, mm.
They're really good. They're really good. And yeah, no, basically like those are both made up of just little jokes and little editing quips and just things like that that make up like the fact they're in Japan doesn't really matter because they're funny anyway.
Mm.
But Japan just enhances them and gives them more opportunity to shine.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, like I was thinking of that, and for some reason I thought of like Filthy Frank actually.
Mm.
And you think of that, and like he doesn't really seem like there are a couple times where he has like these like gags where it's like it's time to stop, and he has like this big clock or whatever. But a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the times those videos is he just like talks and just gives his take, and it's funny not because of some like editing effect. It's funny because of the way he
Because
does it himself. You know.
the character is funny enough. You don't need bells and whistles.
Yeah, like AVGN, I feel like there's way too many of these like skits, and
Yeah, it feels like it tries way too hard.
yeah, that's what it feels like. You know, like the Castlevania videos as well. I don't think there's really any much gags at all in that. It's basically just like going through review by review. Not even very angry reviews, just kind of like a basic retrospective, but it's so good because of him himself, you know? Like that's what it's about. And I feel like that's the thing. I couldn't think of a AVGN rant, like a good AVGN rant in a very long time in a video. Even like the more recent ones, because like Seaman didn't really have a rant. It was just good for other reasons. When I think of the last good rant, actually, I think of Darkwing Duck, the shit scale. That's the last good rant I really think about.
The last one I can think of is the Tiger wristwatch classic 4-bit, 2-bit, 1-bit, half
Yeah,
a bit,
yeah, yeah.
quarter bit, Tiger wristwatch.
That was a good pure rant video. That was really good for that. And honestly, that feels like the last like real one on that. It feels like the last real like angry nerd kind of angry video game nerd video because the other ones past that you have like Seaman, which is good but not good in like the same way the classic ones are. It's very interesting. That one is kind of like a different one because there's really
That's
not
that's like
Yeah, there's
It's
not
like what we were
much.
saying. Like he just switched the formula up, and that alone was enough to give the nerd new room to breathe and new jokes to come up with. The fact it was a new like structure and idea.
Hmm. Yeah, because like Seaman feels like very unique. It doesn't feel like by the formula at all. Probably because he can have like the Seaman character interact with him. It makes jokes in like a different way. In a sense, the Seaman writes his own script. In a sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, and then like the recent ones, like there was like the Game Boy accessories, and everyone loved that, and I thought it was all right. You know.
I remember liking it, but I only saw it once or twice.
Yeah, I only saw it once, but I remember it had like it had so much views and so much likes and so much interaction on there. I was like, is this that good? Well, people will love it, but I thought it
I
was
mean, people giving attention to the nerd ain't the worst thing.
no, it's good. I mean, it's good, and it is. That's the other thing about it is like the nerd is probably one of the most like resilient like channels that's like still around, because
That's very true. You don't see Smosh around. You don't see Ray William Johnson, but the nerd is just doing the exact same thing he's been doing the last like 10 plus years.
since 2004, then 2006, basically. So,
Like 15 years, he's been doing pretty much the same thing and just sticking around.
uh-huh. It does show you how the pacing dropped after Rob though, because Rob was like 2011, I think, and that's like 100, and now we're like what the 160s or whatever. So
I mean, we're in 180s or 190s, but yeah. I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of that has to do as well with the way if YouTube has just been changing, right? Because it's been harder and harder to make monetary value out of anything you need to take time on. If you want to make money on YouTube, you have to make a lot of content, you have to make it very long, and you have to put it out really consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there was a different landscape when he was putting out videos every 2 weeks. I mean, that would also be very tiring, I'd imagine. But it
Yeah.
was a different landscape where it's a lot easier to just make money off of just being a nerd yelling at shit.
Yeah, well, actually, the thing, it's actually very noteworthy because back then, basically, his full-time thing was like AVGN, like bi-weekly videos and whatnot. Now it's like he has all these like daily stuff, like James and Mike Mondays and this like movie review stuff. Like he has a thing coming out every day, and then like the AVGN video is like one thing on the back burner among many series. You know?
Yeah, Cinemassacre is really it's a really impressive machine.